used to break my heart. Sometimes I would get anxiety and wonder, will I ever see my parents again? Hello everyone and welcome back to Ala Nation. I'm your host Kate. Now on today's episode we're gonna be looking at things I wish I knew before I moved abroad. And so let's get to it. First of all, I didn't expect that changing would be such a huge factor. Change. We change a lot even when we're back home. As you grow, your mindset changes, your body changes, a lot of changes happen, whether you move abroad or not. But the kind of change that happens abroad is kind of different, especially if you move alone, because when you're going through changes back home, you have a support system, you have people to guide you, to tell you this is what you're going through, or you can open up to them. But when you're going through change abroad, it's different. I remember I was 3 years shy of turning 30, and I feel like turning 30 is such a huge thing. So I went through a lot of personal things that I didn't understand, but because I had no support system, I went to YouTube University. I did a lot of Google, and of course, Dr. Google is not always right, but I had to do what I had to do. So there is personal change, and then there is just change, like change. Just think of change as the word. Don't think of it too deeply. So there is change of environment itself, which comes with how people communicate, how things are done. You have to change. You have to be very careful of what you say. And when you're going through this kind of change and getting used to a new environment, it takes a lot from you. It takes away your confidence, because you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. When you're in a multicultural environment, you will say offensive things which will annoy people. People will put you down in return. There is change in the aspect of, especially for us who come from developing countries, people wondering whether you know what you're doing. You come for me, I was a journalist, so I viewed myself as someone, and now suddenly I'm starting from scratch. It is so hard. I'm starting from scratch, sometimes with people who don't have the same experience I have, but because they have a different accent, suddenly they are better than me. So that kind of change, where it strips away your dignity or your self-esteem, that one takes a lot from you. And I didn't know that I would go through that, but yeah, I went through it. At least I went through it in Sweden, so I knew what to expect when I was moving to China. Then the other thing we don't think a lot about is family separation, what it does to you. I mean, I wasn't really I lived alone for a long time, I think since I was 19, so I can't really say that I was always close to my family, but knowing that they're somewhere nearby and I can visit them whenever I feel like, that was very, it was a lot. I remember some days were so tough, I just wanted my mother, but all I could do is hear from her on phone, and that used to break my heart. Sometimes I would get anxiety and wonder, will I ever see my parents again? Sweden is so far from Kenya, it's not like I can go over the weekend. what are you guys doing this weekend? Let's go to Africa. No, I couldn't do that. And that also put me down because I had no family in Sweden. And I think because of family separation, one tends to be codependent on anyone who shows interest in them. So when you move abroad, you have to be very careful because you may end up clinging on drug junkies because they're the only ones showing you affection. And I know a lot of people who turn into drugs through bad company or just, human beings want a sense of belonging. That's why you see sometimes some kids in these ghettos turn into crime just to be part of something. It's not that they want to be part of crime. It's that community of criminals is where they feel like somebody. And sometimes I keep saying, when you talk about integration abroad, I'm talking now to the European audience. Integration is beyond teaching the language. Integration is mixing the cultures and creating a sense of feeling. Do you know what I mean? Nah, maybe too deep for this episode. So yeah, that so there was family separation, and because of now the changes in family separation brings me to my third point, which is self-esteem. Excuse me. So when you don't have a sense of belonging and you've gone through so much change, you've made so many mistakes, people tell you you're not good enough, it affects your self-esteem. And that's exactly what happened. It's like I had so many I lost a lot of chances because now people have poked and stepped on me, made me feel like I'm nothing. And that was a bad moment in my life. It was such a bad moment. I remember one time wondering who I am really and what are my capabilities. And I think when people know that self-esteem is like perfume, people can smell it. So if you're confident, people can see it. If you're not confident, no matter how much you try, everyone can see it. And unfortunately, the world preys on people who are weak. So I had moments where I was a victim of someone, but the day I woke up, the day I made the decision to no longer be a victim, I never looked back. I'm a survivor, I'm gonna yeah. So self-esteem, yeah, that was tough. The other thing I didn't think about, and I think this is mostly with Kenyans, we don't realize that we have an accent, and even if we do, we don't think it's a big deal. Because I remember some people, especially people from the native English-speaking countries, sometimes I think they just pretend. Like I would say something and they spend like 5 seconds laughing, then asking me, what did you mean? Like just